Welcome to the Businessmen and Women of Color podcast. I am your host, Anne Alston, and it is my pleasure to bring quality programs to all of you. I am so excited to be here yet again with another amazing speaker who is here today to talk about legal advice, talking about small business legal practices. So please stay tuned and listen to this podcast as well as all the podcasts from all the pages that are posted on this platform this year. There's tons and tons of good information, so please make sure you take advantage of this unique opportunity. Just in case you did not know, the purpose of the Businessmen and Women of Color podcast is to not only network our small businesses, but we're also here to share information for you, the working professional and new career seekers, so that you can make an informed decision about your career. We would also like to take a moment to thank our corporate sponsors, our family of authors, Butler Armstead Consulting Solutions, Human Resource Learning Center, J&F Enterprises, and Women Offering Wealth, along with many of our business partners and sponsors who is helping to make this season a success. So, as I said at the top of the hour, that we have a nice lawyer here that's going to come on the podcast and talk to us about what he does in his law firm and how he services individuals and small businesses. So I'm going to read a little bit of his bio. Today we have Granville Templeton III, who is the owner of Templeton Law Firm and the founder of My Law Now. Mr. Templeton is an accomplished business attorney with experience in business and concept development. He leads by utilizing his market insight and innate abilities to galvanize talent, inspire innovation, and in legal technology sector and guide as he uses My Law Now to team up to a unified strategy vision. In addition to his profession, he also founded Templeton Law in 2004, which handles all type of business complex litigation dealing with corporations, universities, insurance companies, and so on. And so he also has, by the way, he also has a Juris Doctor degree from the University of Baltimore School of Law, and he has a concentration in business law and international and comparative law. So I want everybody to continue reading his bio because he has some more good information there. And so I want to welcome Granville to the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you, Ann. How are you?
I'm doing really good. I'm so excited that you are here and would love to know more about you and your background and how you got into law.
Oh, yeah. So I always had an interest in law back when I was in high school. I vacillating on whether I was going to go into engineering or law, but I had an interest in both. My father had me intern with a few lawyers when I was in high school and go to their office. So I got to kind of see what they did. And that kind of sparked my interest. And I participated in some programs, some mock trial programs, and did well in them. And that really made me think I wanted to be a lawyer. I still started off in college as an engineering major. And I switched after my first year. And it hit me that I didn't want to do that. I wanted to use my arguing skills and try to help people in that way. So what I always tell people is, you know, the examples that they see when they're young, it really helps them develop and understand what they could do when they see options, what they could do in the future. And that's kind of how it happened with me also.
Okay. So when you decided to go and use your arguing skills, because you know a lot of us have arguing skills. I know I have them sometimes.
Yep.
So when you decided that you wanted to use your arguing skills to go to college to become a lawyer, as a minority lawyer specifically, and this is speaking to people who are looking to become a lawyer or to get in the field that you're in, what are some of the things that you found just going into that field and some of the adversities or challenges that you had to overcome?
Yeah, I had certain challenges and obstacles, and there are even different ones now that younger people that are trying to get into this field, and you don't have to be younger. We had people that were in law school with us and they were 50 and 60 years old. Going back to, you know, to get this law degree that they wanted. But the education that you had to have was the same across the board, no matter what race or gender you are. The grades were the same across the board. The thing that hit me first was, I guess during the first few days of law school, there was a conversation that went on with some of the non-minorities. It said some of their friends that didn't get into school and they assumed that affirmative action was the reason why. The handful of minorities that were in our section, it must have been 70-something kids in the section, and maybe 5 or so, you know, and each get 3 sections in the daytime. were minorities. And so that was the first thing that was a little bit alarming, but it had nothing to do with the school. It's just some of the students in there, I guess they felt that way. So that was the first thing, put me like on alarm a little bit when I was in law school. But after that, it kind of died down and everybody got to know each other and they realized that, we're kind of all in the same boat. But the thing that's happening now is there are a lot of people that want to go to law school, and there aren't that many jobs that are out there. So it's really competitive. And schools like UB, they went up a tier by making it harder. So you couldn't have a B average you can't have a B average and get in law school now. Most of the people in there, no matter what race you are, they mainly made A's in college, and they did really well on the LSAT. So right now, being able to argue and being able to, even if you would be a great attorney, it's just there are a lot of barriers now that maybe in 2000, the requirements would have been a little bit lower. And, a lot of us now, we weren't straight A students. I was a great student, but I wasn't a straight A student. That's why I push my kids now. It's like, look, you can't be, all A's and 3 B's. That's just not going to cut it nowadays with just the competitiveness of everyone. Like, I don't know if it breeds better attorneys or better people in the profession, because I think some people that weren't straight A's sometimes have better skills and other skills, and that's why they didn't get straight A's, because they were participating in other activities. But nowadays, that's something that people need to really, really think about, like making sure they put themselves in the best position to get into law school if that's what they want to do. And it's really in whatever business you're trying to do, you need to put yourself in the best position by showing excellent credentials.
Okay, fantastic. So I want to kind of tie into when you said that there's not enough positions for lawyers. And I want to dig
Mm-hmm.
deep into that because a lot of times, I think even to this day, that people want to gravitate to I call them the high five jobs, to be a lawyer, a doctor, whatever those high five jobs are. But because you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about the competitiveness, is there one particular type of lawyer that is really, really competitive above all the others, which is why you're mentioning that you really got to come in highly qualified with those A's, those B's. You got to put yourself in the best position, because I want people to really understand what they have to go up against if they try to get into the legal field.
Okay. So there are only so many jobs, I guess, that you can get. And big firm, you have to be in the top 3% to 5% of your law school to get offered summer internship probably after the first year of law school. Law school's 3 years, 4 years of college and 3 years of law school. And so the top 5% and 3% get offered, these high paid internships pretty much in the summertime. And a lot of times those big firms, they'll hire those law students when they get out of law school. And just knowing the things like, okay, I need to make sure my first semester, my grades are like straight A's in law school, because that's what they're going to really look at, to make these determinations. But that can really affect my life if that's the path I want to take. If you want to be a big firm, lawyer, you're going to start off, back then it was 120, 130. And then by the time I'm almost 40, at my age, some people like 300,000 or more,
Mm-hmm.
So it affects your earning capacity. And that's just a small percentage of lawyers. That's not, there's still 95% that went to law school that aren't going to have those jobs. And then I know some people that get those jobs and they quit after 3 years because they hate it, and wish they didn't practice law. So when you want to go into the legal field, know that you want to do it not for money or not for prestige or something like that. Do it because you think there's a particular type of law that you want to do and that you're trying to explore, or there's business that you want to do. And just having this knowledge, this law degree, gives you better insight when you do business. So creative people that can do businesses and do other things, I think that it's good. But just to go into law because you think, I'll get a high paying job, you have so many people disappointed, at that. And most of the time it's the same as when you're getting a job with someone else. You have to know somebody, because you have 100 people applying for one job or a few jobs. Like, there are going to be a lot of people that aren't going to get those. And so then people go back and say, I want to be a state's attorney, or I want to be a public defender. And the starting pay on those aren't as high as other jobs that if you just got a college degree. So it can't be about the money. It's got to be, I want to prosecute people and help people that way. Or I want to defend people in the PD's office. And then there's always the route of starting your own law firm. And you have to have that hustle in you. It's the same as with any business. Getting out there, getting clients, finding your niche market, and that's kind of your question was like, what areas are the most competitive? And I think it's getting into a large firm that's the most competitive. But right now, it's getting into anything, even getting into state's attorney's jobs and things like that, and public defender jobs. I know guys that have been applying just for that, or jobs with Social Security that may start at 64, and they have 10 years, 15 years experience, but they want to go back into the workforce. And with a law degree, it's like, oh, so it's not what you think, you know what I mean, in that sense. But I think it's given me a lot of knowledge when it comes to doing business. I'm not scared of contracts. I know when someone's, trying to take advantage of me or my company. And by me practicing law and doing a lot of business law, I've seen a lot of different situations and scenarios, and that really is helpful to my businesses and to other people when giving advice. I've seen this go wrong. I've seen people who tried to partner and they didn't have the operating agreement at all, or they didn't have it done correctly, or they didn't anticipate if someone stole something or someone did less work than them, all these different scenarios,
Right. So I want to break right there because you gave so much good information, and I want to summarize a little bit. So one of the things that you really touched on that is a theme throughout this whole podcast is making sure that you choose the right career. A lot of people get into these things and they realize how much work it takes, and you really have to have a passion for what you do. And just to your point, that you need to be a lawyer because you really want to make a difference, and it can't always be about the money, or it can't always be about the prestige or the cars, even though we will all love that. Okay, but it comes with a lot of work. Now I will tell you, in my experience, I worked for two different law firms, or was it three? I think it was like two different law firms. And yes, you're right, they have the top 3 or 5% of the students come in for internships, and yes, they were paying them more than 125,000 just for a few weeks of work. And that salary really was the equivalent of a paralegal or a junior associate lawyer. And a lot of times, if they were really good after they did their internship, yes, they came back and they were making almost twice that. So you have to really understand that how much work it goes into preparing your career roadmap. And if you have to do whatever you have to do to get those A's and those B's and to be top of your class, and this is something you really want to do and you want to put in the work, this is what you're going to have to do, because as Granville said in this podcast, this is what he had to do to kind of get to where he needs to be. So I want to turn the conversation over to business, because you went right into that a little bit. So talk a little bit about your service and how you help small businesses, so we can get an understanding of what you provide.
Okay, so on the business side, I provide small and medium-sized businesses counsel. Right before I got on this podcast, I was doing an NDA, and some of the stuff is not that difficult, like non-disclosure agreements. And some of the stuff is difficult, when their company's about to get sued or getting sued in federal court, and we have to determine what's the best route. So I a lot of times I start from the beginning with some companies. Logo creation, I even help them with that, because I like art, and it's not legal, but it helps you to hone in on where you're trying to go and what market you're trying to go to. Business plan preparation, the decks, and that's the PowerPoint presentation that you show people that describe your business. The one-pagers that go in there in executive summaries. The one page, it kind of goes through what the issue is, how your company solves those issues, who's on your team. We go through all of those things. We can even get into and this is if you're trying to raise money from people or organizations, we can get into doing the pro formas, where we do the 5-year projections, and we go through and how much revenue do you think you're going to get every month, the first year, second year, third year, and so on, and how much from the revenue side all the way to what are your expenses going to be, from telephone expenses to rent to insurance, just making sure that my clients understand that they need to get everything done properly. Now, some clients they'll listen to it all but won't do it all, but knowing how in-depth it is to really run a business right, I think it's important for you to know that if you're going to start a business. And it's important for your preparation, and that's kind of what we do with new companies, and then more established companies. We kind of like go through where you're trying to go. What can we do to get you to where you need to be? How are you going to get these contracts? So some of it's legal, some of it's common sense of just sitting down and figuring out, who do I need to call? Who do we need to Google? You know?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of law, I tell people, I think 10% of it's law, the other 90% is just like common sense. If you're a business person since you were 16 years old, you know what I mean, and figured things out, like that's what you're doing. You're figuring things out. I have a client now that's about to get sued, or is getting sued in federal court, and there's a deadline to file an answer. And so most lawyers would think, okay, you hired me for the answer, you're hiring to move forward in that way. My thing was, we could work this out. It's going to take longer to work it out than the deadline to file our answer. Let's negotiate pushing the answer back. You know, the simple things like that until you get the money and you can pay them off. My whole thing is thinking outside of the box. It's a very, very great trait when it comes to being a lawyer or when it comes to being business. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I'm doing on the business side.
On the business.
We do other types of law also.
Okay.
But
you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, you have to do multiple streams in business, and a law firm is a business. So we do the business law. Also do personal injury. That's what I started with an insurance company when I was in law school. So I learned everything that they do when someone's in a car accident and you have to or you hit someone and the insurance company has to defend you. That's what I learned while I was in law school. And then I learned everything about the insurance company and the insurance business from the inside out. And then I switched sides, and then now I sue. If someone's hurt, you come to me and I can recover for you, car accident or hospital or police, or someone hurts you. I know how to maneuver through the system with that. And we also do a wide range of litigation. We've done anything from insurance companies where they've sued my clients because they had unauthorized drivers driving the car and killed someone, and so they're trying to sue my clients for millions of dollars, and we stopped that, to the universities stopping people from getting their PhDs. You know, we take cases that make us feel good to help people. So that's kind of where I am in my career. If it helps people, even with criminal cases, I do some criminal. If I think someone's getting railroaded, I'm going to jump in there and make sure that doesn't happen.
Okay, so that's wonderful. So you do all types of law, from just insurance law, commercial law, individual law, and that's really helpful. I think one of the things that small businesses have on their mind, particularly the smallest of business and solo entrepreneurs, what is the best way that they can work with an organization or law firm such as yours and be able to afford that? Because you hit on a little bit of just being able to do the simple things so that they can get the money up to pay for your services. And a lot of times small businesses don't want to pay for legal services because they just don't have the money. But if you can offer some solutions as to how they can pay for service such as yours, so that people can understand your process.
Oh, yeah. So when you contract with an attorney, I guess the first thing you need to know is you'll get a retainer agreement. And that retainer agreement has two things you should pay attention to. How much money you got to pay, obviously. Where that money's going to go is going to go straight to the attorney's escrow account. So if you're paying hourly, it normally goes in an attorney's escrow account where it sits there, and every time the attorney bills, I did 3 hours of work at $300 an hour, so I'm going to bill you $900. So I'm going to take that $900 out of that $2,000 you gave me and put it into my attorney regular operating account. And I'll send you a bill to show you what I did. That's one way of doing it. But now the new way that a lot of attorneys are doing and people like is more flat fees. And so the second part of the retainer agreement you have to look at is the scope of representation. What is that attorney going to do for you? And what we like to do is limit our scope of representation. So I want to say, I'm not going to do everything for you, but I'm going to write your NDA. your non-disclosure agreement, or I'm going to write your operating agreement, and I'm going to stop. That's limiting my scope of what I'm going to do. And you're going to pay me a specific amount of money for me to just do that one thing. And that's a way that you can get some things can be more affordable instead of having to find $2,500 or $5,000 or $8,000 to put in an attorney's escrow account, to get stuff going. If you can say, hey, can you give me a consultation? I'll pay you $200 for the consultation. And you can save that money up over the next month or so. Go in and let the attorney hear everything for that 1 hour, and you can stop there. And then if it's like, oh, the main thing that you need now is you want to show this new idea to all these different people, you need a non-disclosure so they don't steal your idea. Okay, I'm going to charge you $500 or whatever the amount is the attorney says. And that's the way that you can make sure that you're covered. And you can kind of plan out like, oh, I know I'm going to have to spend a certain amount of money this year. And you can prioritize what you really need and what can wait if you're really, really, really on a budget. But just not doing it or trying to find something real quick online is kind of a bad idea because it ends up really not covering you most of the time. And there'll be phrases that you didn't know to put in there and things that you didn't know that could happen in the future, and ends up being way more expensive.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are going out there using those templates, but that
Mm-hmm.
just also means going back to the common sense thing that you was talking about, is making sure that if you don't plan on hiring a lawyer, that you at least take ample and sufficient amount of time to research what you need to
Mm-hmm.
incorporate in that agreement, because again, if you leave out a clause or if you leave out something really critical, you can open yourself up to further liability. So turning the conversation back over to you and your efforts, what are some of the things that you are working on or your company is working on outside of your normal business practice?
So we're in the beginning stages, so I don't want to. We can start talking about my law now. I'm starting to move forward with this tech company that's legal tech. I saw a need, and I've done a couple other ones in the past, tech companies, one in education, one in social media. But this one, I saw a need. When I went out with my tech company, I pretty much slowed my firm down some years back so that I could put the 12, 15 hours a day I was putting into moving the ed tech company. There's only so many hours in a day, to get everything done. But I still had to keep the practice going. And once it was time for me to ramp it up some more, I realized everything's really mobile, and there aren't platforms that allow lawyers and clients to really communicate through an app that was really mobile. And so I developed my law now to allow attorneys to be able to video conference with their clients, and not talking about Skype or FaceTime, on a secure pipe, pretty much. You can send attorney can send their client a link, and that client with the app can accept it and do a consultation. The reasoning that I thought it was really important was a lot of my clients, the initial consultation is important, but sometimes I just need to talk to someone for 15 minutes or prep them for 20 minutes before a trial tomorrow. And it's so hard for them to get to my office. I'm downtown, they have to park, they have to walk, get in the door, go up the elevator, fight traffic, during rush hour. And it's like, then they're late, they're an hour and a half late. Like, if we have a 5 o'clock appointment, you're going to come at 6:30. Like, I have other things to do too. So, but if I could do it by video consultation when they're on their lunch break or right after work or in the morning, that would serve the purpose that they need. And also with new clients, I get a lot of clients on the phone, but once they see me face to face, I'm going to get pretty much 95% of them or more, because they can see you, they can talk to you, and it mirrors a face-to-face consultation. So that's why I started it, to do face-to-face consultations through My Law Now. Also, when people want to speak to an attorney, a lot of times they want to speak now. They don't want to wait till, like, I'm going out of town on Thursday evening. They don't want to wait till Tuesday to talk to me, and I got court in the morning. They want to talk to me now or talk to someone now. And if you don't have a connection like Anne, you have a connection through me, you don't know who to go to, the other part of it is I'm going to do an Uber model. That's what we're going to roll out later this year. So when I'm open as an attorney, I can turn myself on like an Uber driver. And anybody that has a question dealing with business or dealing with personal injury or criminal or, contracts, you need to talk to someone right now. You'll be able to go on My Law Now once that portion is finished. And be connected to someone to video conference with you immediately for a fee that you pay right through the app. So it's a new model.
Wonderful.
It's kind of cool.
Wonderful. Yeah, that is wonderful. First of all, I want to commend you on the fact that you're actually using technology to advance your business. A lot of us are not doing that, and I'm hoping and encouraging everyone to just hear really what you're saying is that you literally created an app where you're on demand, that you are using your cell phone and other ways that you can connect with your clients on the go, and you can pretty much be anywhere and do this face-to-face consultation at any time, and that is a commendable thing. So if you're listening to this podcast, if you don't have an app, I bet you will have an app after the end of this podcast, because he just pretty much gave you the answer to one of those simple things. Are there any other initiatives that you want people to know about that you are working on?
Well, not really. I'm dabbling in a lot of things, and I just think that people should know you should put your hands in a few things, not too many, because you can't be great at everything if you're doing too many things. But the thing that I'm finding out is the successful people, they normally get 3 or 4 streams of income and different businesses that they're doing, and they sit on multiple boards. And that's something that I would tell people to do, because when you sit on boards to help schools, to help nonprofits, then it usually opens up other opportunities in your business also, which gets you more clients and gets you more revenue in. So, so I sit on a few boards. In the past, I don't sit on the Salvation Army board anymore, but I used to sit on there for a number of years, and I was over the Boys and Girls Clubs in my area. And I just thought it was a really good experience, and it was a good experience seeing how an organization like that approached philanthropy. And it helped me with other boards that I'm on now. And since I'm a lawyer, obviously I'm on some bar associations, the Monumental City Bar Association. I used to be president of that in the past. Now I'm on the Monumental City Bar Foundation, which we help students that are in law school. We give a couple of scholarships a year, and then we also give, if you have a nonprofit, we give grants also. So look up Monumental City Bar Foundation online, bmonumental.com. That's the website. It's just things like that. So I'm really focused right now on growing business in this area and making sure people are they have adequate representation.
Okay, fantastic. And you made a really good point. A lot of times we have to get out of our silos and really engage in other organizations, whether through a project or a board, just to make sure that we are well-rounded and learning different things of what organizations are doing. And so that's a really good concept. So Granville, this is a networking event. People are listening and participating. What do you need for your organization to thrive?
What do I need? I need people to do what they normally do. I don't think I need anything other than when people need help, call me. That's pretty much it.
Okay, so let's sum it up. So if you need legal advice, if you need help
legal
with
business
your insurance issue that you got in an accident and you need legal help, or if you need someone to help you write a contract, or if you need someone that will help you in a lawsuit, he needs you. Okay, he needs you to give him a call. And so everyone, his contact information is going to be at the bottom of this page. And we want to also encourage you to visit all the pages and listen to all the podcasts, because again, this information is very invaluable to you. You never know what you may hear in a conversation that will help you with your business or your individual talents, or help you get that job that you're really looking for. And so I want to thank you, Granville, for being on the podcast today and sharing us all this great information about you, Templeton Law Firm, and all the things that you are doing for people in the Baltimore area and other areas as
Appreciate you so much, Anne. Thank you.